is Home Games. Thanks for being here. That is Rick Zamperin from 900 CHML Radio. Steve Milton from the Hamilton Spectator, award-winning sports columnist. Bubba O'Neill from CHCH TV Sports. I'm Scott Radley from the Hamilton Spectator and 900 CHML. And guys, we, in one of our last videos, talked about the CFL and the XFL and the plans and the crossovers and the alignments and whatever this means. Well, let's just pick up on one little point that seems to be the crux of much of this discussion for an awful lot of people. And it comes down to the 3 downs, Bubba. It comes down to what really, there's a lot of rules that are Canadian Football League rules, but the 3 downs defines, it seems, Canadian football. And we're going to play a hypothetical game here because we really, again, don't know what the alignment discussion really in full is all about. But if the XFL and CFL merged, aligned, and the CFL had to give up some of its rules, would Canadian football fans support a domestic 4-down football league, or is that the end of the CFL?
Well, you got to believe in Randy Ambrosie's talking to just talk, or whatever it's been, with the Rock Johnson. There had to have been some preliminary thoughts on what they believe this will look like in possibly 2022. And I have to believe that Ambrosie is sticking by the 3 downs. And I think as a media person, as a fan of the game, and I think we talked about this earlier in our earlier chat this week or last week, is that's part of the individuality of the game. That's why Canadian Football League fans love the game equally as much as the NFL or NFL. There's certain differences other than the stripes on the ball, the wider field, the 3 downs. I think those are things you cannot lose. And whatever they're looking at, those are the 2 things to me you just can't touch.
But Steve, the question is, if they had to, and I agree with Bubba, but if they had to, if this was a deal breaker, and again, we're playing hypotheticals, I grant you, but if this was a deal breaker because Americans wouldn't watch 3-down football, would Canadians support a league that was a CFL 4-down?
Let's understand how they'd get there if they ever got there. First of all, it would be down the road. I don't see these teams playing any kind of games. The XFL is in a hurry to get something going and some agreement going for 2022, but there's not going to involve any games or anything like that. There are 2 things. There are the 3-down, 4-down, and there's when the season runs. Those, I think, are the 2 real things where people are far apart on that. Like we don't want to really start a season in March and end it in September. Those are the 2 things. But if they get to the point where they're even considering 3 downs, 4 downs, those kinds of rules, they will already have played some feeler type games, right? So maybe in 23, 24, they have a little exhibition game at the end of the say between the Grey Cup champion or somebody who's ready to go, who's just starting training camp in Canada against let's say the XFL champions. And they would probably do something. This happened in the 50s when the NFL and the CFL played teams. They played not all the time, but a lot. So I was at a couple in Toronto. And the first half would be one set of rules and the second half would be another set of rules. And you do that a lot. And you get all this kind of feedback, remembering the technicalities of how they get feedback are going to be much greater over the next 2 or 3 years. So they will have some idea then. And if it's not going to go, it's not going to go on that one. They'll know.
I think your original question, Scott, was would Canadians support
if it's a chance? They'll know.
Yeah, I think your original. I think I'm breaking up here. I think your original question was, will Canadians support a 4-down game? They barely support a 3-down game. Let's be frank. Attendance has dwindled over the last few years. The financial situation of the CFL is, on the decline. The pandemic obviously hasn't helped. But the fact of the matter is that if you switch things up and you have the teams where they are, and they're still called the same thing, but now they're playing 4 downs, I think you lose a lot of hardcore CFL fans because this is our game. It was one of the league slogans not too long ago. It's different. It's unique. It's part of our country. It's a part of our history. We don't want that to be changed. Yep. And I think, and I made the suggestion in our previous video talking about XFL and CFL, is I think the XFL has to find a different kind of niche than what the NFL is already offering TV viewers and fans in attendance, and that is go to a 3-down game. Make it a bigger field. Play in MLS stadiums where the field is bigger. Adopt CFL rules. I mean, the NFL already dominates 4 downs. You're not going to carve into any of that market. Make it a 3-down game. XFL, CFL, same rules.
Here's why I absolutely believe it would not work if you did go to 4 downs. Any of you, since the AFL merged with the NFL, name the 4-down league that is not the NFL that has succeeded and survived. They don't, because there's always a comparison to the NFL, and it's always seen as minor league, and they'll get some crowds, but they all fail. The CFL has lasted since the Paleozoic era because it's different and because it's something that you can see not in the NFL every Sunday. And to give up that one thing that sets you apart, I believe would be the death knell. I really do. And I know Rick is right. The CFL is struggling. Unquestionably, the CFL is struggling right now. Attendance is down. But this, to me, Bubba, this would be the last straw. I don't think people would latch onto this.
Well, that's why I use the word individuality about 1 million times, because I think that's what attracts us about the game. It's what the difference is in the game, or, the 5-yard rule as opposed to the fair catch rule in the National Football League. I mean, these are the things. And I think that the XFL, in whatever they're looking at with the Canadian Football League, they've already proven that they're open to change. I mean, their game, as it has standed for the 3 or the 2 other incarnations of the league, was tremendously different from the National Football League. In fact, they made it a point to be different, to be quicker, to have more action, as much as they had the action point, I think, for extra points, they're willing to change. So that's why I believe that when these 2 leagues do merger, because I think that's what's going to happen. No offense, guys. I think that this has already been discussed. I think this is going to be a 15 or 16 or 14 team league. I think there's no doubt about that. We've already had many players that have crossed over into the XFL that have played CFL football. I think that's why this is going to work. So I think that in some ways, the CFL fan should not worry, because I think there's not going to be too much change in the game. Because, as you said, Scott, the World Football League, the XFL, the AF, the United Football League, the USFL. Now, I will say this: USFL came close, but when Donald Trump tried to put the league up on going up straight against an NFL, then it failed. So, yeah, it's got to be more CFL rules, and I think Canadian fans should not worry.
The more I listen to you guys, I'm actually coming around a little bit to that 3-down thing because of the other part of it, that which is the main reason, besides however kind of injection of whatever kind of either hard money or soft money being economic benefits of marketing and that kind of thing comes with it, is that they really think that the people that are involved in this are branding experts, and they've shown that on a number of entertainment type fields and platforms. So it might be that they're not afraid of anything, as you're all saying. So I come around to a little bit, but I will reemphasize, I don't think there's anything involved game-wise here for quite a while yet. I think this is tied to other things such as branding, and as I suggested in the Spectator on Friday, almost whimsically, betting and those kinds of sources of new things that are already, and the worldwide reach that the CFL already has, which the XFL is actually buying from them right now.
Rick, take us home.
Yeah, one of the most interesting things to me in this now 3rd go-round for the XFL is, what are the odds, whether there's a partnership with the CFL or not, what are the odds it survives for more than 1 year? Because the first time around it didn't. Last year it didn't. Now there's a pandemic. The economic reality of our world has changed somewhat. Is there even going to be an appetite from a U.S. viewership? Forget about Canada. From an American viewership, is there going to be an appetite to support financially another league? And if it doesn't last more than a year, forget about it. Let's put the XFL to bed forever.
And that's why I think they're buying the CFL's longevity, not ability to survive, but reputation for survival, the legitimacy of it.
Yeah, there remain a lot of questions on this one.
That's why they have to be different.
Yeah.
And that's why I think these leagues are going to merge, because I think that's, if you're Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who's already a supporter of the league, a guy that actually played the game for a cup of coffee, I think he sees some excitement in the game. And I think there are things that they can sell. I mean, they want offense. The National Football League want offense. They want scoring. Now, I know that those things have dropped off a little bit in the Canadian game, but those are the things and the elements of the game that they're going to be able to sell to Americans to say, hey, jump on board. Have a little taste of this. You might like it.
We still have the odd 60-1 games.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Every once in a while, it's good for the fifth quarter. I'll tell you that.
Yes.
With Rick Host, by the way, 900 CHML after every Ticat game. You can listen to Rick Zamperin. You can also go online if you're
you guys
listening
are shameless.
town.
You're
Rick
totally
Zamperin, 900
shameless.
CHML.